Anything session. Of course, we are going live on YouTube and LinkedIn, and this is your chance to spend about 30 to 45 minutes with me one on one and have all your questions answered. Of course, by all your questions, I mean anything related to your career. So, any queries with respect to the master's degrees you want to pursue, the profile building part of it, anything you want in terms of career guidance, if you want anything to know about MBAs, undergraduate applications, we can help you out with any of these. Also, please make sure that you type your questions in the YouTube comments or in the post on LinkedIn, and we will have access to it and we will answer your questions. Of course, as with all of our lives, we rarely get the time to answer all the questions that come about. That is not due to a lack of effort. We will try and interact as much as possible. But in case we miss your question, please understand that it's not due to a lack of effort. It's due to a lack of time, and we can always answer your questions through the free consultation call that you can schedule using the link which my colleague will be putting out periodically, on your feeds, right? So I think we are getting a few questions in already. And again, guys, I see questions which are ad hoc, like which college to target and all. Like, please give a profile. I can't say Harvard or Stanford randomly, right? So please give a profile, give complete questions. If you put it in multiple comments, then it's very difficult to read all of them and go back. We'll miss it, right? So let's begin. We're getting a lot of questions coming in. All right, question number one. How are San Francisco State, San Diego State, Stevens, IIT, and UTD as options for electrical and computer engineering for an average profile? Average is subjective. For example, if you have a GPA of a 7.5 and you think that is average, then these universities are too safe for you, right? UT Dallas is an exception. It's a decent school, but the others are not great. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not great. There are certainly better universities that you can target. So don't let's get specific. Don't decide for yourself if your profile is average just because somebody's told you. Maybe your profile is really good. Who knows? But to answer your question, among the colleges that you mentioned, UT Dallas is the only one that's worth looking at. All right. Can you please explain the career outcomes of all major MEM programs? That's a very long thing, right? That will be like one 10-minute answer that I'll be giving, and all the others on this live will be very upset, right? But in general, career outcomes after MEM programs include the most popular at this point: product and project management within the tech sector. There is operations management, supply chain management, which are pretty popular provided you have some sort of experience or background in the field. Few people get into management consulting and tech consulting as well, which is probable. A lot of people become analysts, right, within core tech roles. In fact, the entry level role after an MEM used to be analyst before the product management boom. So these are a few of these areas. Is there any average GPA required to get into Dartmouth MEM? No. Dartmouth is very holistic in terms of the application. I've had people with a 9 point get rejected, and I've had people with a 7.5 get in as well because their work experience was good. So it depends on the overall profile. Dartmouth is not GPA centric at all, but that doesn't mean that it is easy to get into. It's a very, very selective program. Acceptance rate is under 5% from what I know. MS in supply chain management versus MS in industrial engineering. If you have very strong experience, 2 to 3+ years within the supply chain domain or the operations management domain, then a supply chain management degree makes sense because it will help you jump into a specialized area. And supply chain is an area that is very popular in the US at this point in time because it has broad applications, right? It is domain agnostic, which means that you need supply chain in tech, right? Because for Amazon procurement, you need supply chain, right? You need supply chain in the pharma sector. You need supply chain in automotive manufacturing. You need supply chain in any distribution, right? Companies which have electronic distribution and electrical gadgets and stuff like that. So SCM is always a very popular area, very in demand area. But you will get jobs only if you have prior work experience. You have prior work experience, jump into SCM. If you're somebody with limited work experience, IE will get your foot in the door for SCM and growth in that area. Will it be too late to give GRE in the third week of September for fall 2025? See, I honestly ask you to get done with the GRE by the middle of August to have the most optimal application, cycle. But I understand that having an optimal application cycle is difficult. It is not too late, right? What is too late? I've had people who gave the first attempt of a GRE. They got only a 305. They thought it was the end of the world, but then we got them into Duke, right? So it's not like it's too late. It's never too late, right? Third week of September is not too late. But the problem is you have to plan for contingencies. Suppose you have to give a second attempt, right? Most of your applications I recommend you submit by November. So if you have to give in third week of September, your next attempt invariably goes to October end or the first week of November, and then you're juggling applications, you're juggling GRE, and you're juggling your college work and your full-time job as well, and it becomes a little bit of a mess. And now, while it's not too late, I don't recommend you follow that strategy, right? This is something that I keep telling students, but they don't listen and they regret later. I've seen like 10 years of this now. Don't delay. This time is when you're applying for a master's program, these months are critical, they're crucial, right? They're never going to come back. Once June is gone, it's gone. Once July is gone, it's gone. In August, if you say that I wish I had 5 more days to compile a stronger SOP or work on this particular university to hit the early application deadline, it's never going to come back, right? So why do you want to sit on it? Just get things done a little earlier. And don't think that everything can be done in the months of September, October, November. While it is a good chunk of students regret wasting this time, especially if you're thinking about a master's degree, you should be giving attempts of the GRE first attempt definitely worst case by July, and your final attempt should be done by end August. Not too late, but not ideal. I heard Columbia MS&D grads get into management consulting. Is that true? That is true, yes. How to search for good state universities with respect to MIS? I see. First of all, don't generalize thinking that state universities will be cheaper, because that is the very, I would say, for the lack of a better word, sorry if I sound a little rude, but an uneducated way of thinking that state universities are cheaper. Not the case. If you look at something like a UT Dallas, especially the MIS program, the MSITM is expensive. It's not cheap, right? UT Dallas is your pure state school, right? So I don't know why you would want to worry whether it's a state school or a private school for MIS programs. It doesn't make any difference to your life, right? It's not like state schools are worse or state schools are better. It's not like state schools are definitely cheaper or more expensive. Your question should be, if I'm gauging the thought process right, what are the more reasonable universities for an MIS? And reasonable ones would be Texas A&M. Reasonable ones would be Sunny Buffalo. If you're looking at your profile not as good for a Texas A&M, then a Sunny Buffalo. And yeah, these two are a couple of very reasonably priced MIS programs. But otherwise, I don't see any reason why you would specifically look for a state school for an MIS. All right, if we accept some university for MS, but the university we like also accepted you, but it came late, what to do in this regard? You can, I mean, what even you can accept how many ever offers, you can get how many ever I-20s you want. So it doesn't matter, right? The only thing is, if you paid a deposit already for the previous university and the university you like came, your deposit is not going to come back. But if you accepted it and then you are, you want to accept some other university, nobody's going to stop you or prevent you. That's no problem whatsoever. The other thing that you have to also be aware of is that even if you get the visa, right? Even if you gotten a visa on the name of one university, you can transfer it to the other university if the offer comes late. Several people have done that. How is Midway University? I kid you not. In my whatever 10 years of doing this, again, first 3 years I was doing it, on a friendly basis. For the last 7 years, we've been doing it professionally through a company. I have not heard of this university, right? And I'm not saying I'm some great person or anything of that sort, but if I've never heard of it, then it's a little bit of a worry, right? Yeah, it just sounds very strange as well. I would evaluate it critically. How do you rate MSCS at the University of Chicago? University of Chicago is an elite school. It's better than a lot of the Ivy League schools. It's known as a public Ivy. It's a terrific school. Anything it offers within tech and business is outstanding. So, yeah, if you like the program, absolutely good. Same answer that I gave the last time. I have not heard of this place, right? And it just doesn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. All right. Hi, Gradvine. I got my visa approved for Texas Tech University. Congratulations, Rohit. You're all set for your US journey. Can you tell me what are the steps to take before landing in the US? Rohit, we've done a YouTube video on this. These are very basic stuff, right? In terms of packing and booking tickets and having your transcripts in hand in the university enrollment. It's a very procedural process. You can look at our post admit process playlist, and you'll have all your answers there. How is Purdue main campus, which is West Lafayette, for EC, for electrical engineering? It's an outstanding campus. Purdue is a great school for anything engineering related, whether it's a mechanical related field, electric, electronics, computer science. An outstanding program, great return on investment. Location is not the best, but Purdue is a terrific school. If you gotten in, congratulations. You should just go blindly. What colleges to target for MEM 7.6 GPA and 2 years of work ex? It really depends on your undergraduate institution and the quality of your work ex in an ad hoc manner. Very difficult to suggest where you'll get in for sure. But to give you an idea, I've had very similar profiles get into Duke as well, right? Because the quality of the work experience was good, right? I've had similar profiles get into Duke, Johns Hopkins. A top 10 you can get into for sure. A top 5 might be a little difficult. All right. Non-CS, 8 GPA, strong work ex as a data analyst, currently working on my data startup as in a part-time gig, along with a full-time. 200% likely to blow up my upcoming GRE. All right, you mean mess up. 300 to 310. My chances for a top MS and DS. See, the thing with DS, right, and this is going to benefit all of you guys. Apply to a combination of data science and data analytics degrees, because if you are an engineer, right, a lot of data science programs assume that your background in core mathematics is not strong enough. It might be surprising after your M1, M2, M3, M4 stuff that you do, but a lot of them assume that your math background is not strong enough for a data science degree. In fact, they prefer people who are mathematics honors, statistics honors guys for data science programs, or somebody who has a lot of research experience. If you apply to a combination of data analytics and data science programs, then maybe even consider business analytics if you want, because you have work experience. Again, business analytics is just a little bit of a recommendation to look at, not a strong suggestion, but data analytics, definitely look at it, because the curriculums overlap. The job opportunities in corporate for data science and data analytics grads are essentially the same. You can get into better universities for data analytics, and they are okay with engineers because they're not very research heavy programs. They're more suited towards the corporate side, which I'm assuming you're looking for, right? So if you get a 300 to 310 with your current profile, you can push for a top 20 in data analytics and data science. I don't see a reason why not. Right. So can you give an ideal candidate's profile to have a good chance to get into the Cornell MEM? Cornell MEM is a very a unique sort of program in terms of the kinds of profiles it admits, right? I had a very interesting case, and this is what I realized about Cornell about 4 years ago now. I had a brilliant student who was from Netaji Subhash Institute of Technology, which is on par with a lot of NITs. Their GPA scale is very strict, right? The topper has 8.4, 8.5 usually. That's what, at that point, that was the case. And she had like a 7.7 and was in the top 15 in the class or something, working at Boston Consulting Group. Outstanding GRE 330, a terrific work profile, terrific undergrad university. Got into Dartmouth, got into Duke, got into Columbia, got into Hopkins, every place. Only place that rejected her was Cornell. And in the same year, I had people from a tier 3 university, no work experience, with an 8.1, 8.2 get in. And Cornell replied definitively saying that your GPA is on the lower side. Right, so GPA centric, very very GPA centric Cornell is. If you have a GPA above an 8, even if you're a fresher, if you're from with work experience, without work experience, you will have a fairly decent shot at the Cornell MEM program. However, if you're going to Cornell, make sure you have a little bit of work experience, not for the sake of getting in, but because the program is so short, it's only 9 months. The job search gets a little bit more difficult when you're a fresher. When you have a little bit of work experience, you have more on your resume to be hired, right? So if you have work experience, go to the Cornell MEM, but otherwise it's little challenging. Just give me a second, guys. I'm going to turn the lights on because it's getting very dark here. It's about to rain, so we'll get some better lighting. Just give me a minute. All right, so much better. Hmm. Does Gradvine also help for MBA abroad aspirants? Yes, we help with MBA abroad. We help for MBA in India wherever there's an application process. So abroad, we've had people get into MBA programs at UPenn, Wharton, University of Chicago, Booth, Northwestern, Kellogg, Yale School of Management, UC Berkeley, Harris, Duke, University of Virginia, Darden, UCLA, Anderson, Carnegie and Tepper. Pretty much every top 20 school we've had admits to. In India, we've had people make it, in pretty big numbers to ISB, and the executive MBA programs at IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Calcutta, which take you on the basis of a GRE or GMAT score and a holistic application, much like foreign universities. So yeah, we certainly do help out and with a great level of success. It's just that not as many people apply for MBAs abroad as much as masters. So our content is very masters focused because that's the mass market. But we do have a lot of expertise with MBA programs in India and abroad as well. All right, Duke MSAI versus Northwestern MSAI. Very tough pick. Depends on which curriculum you like more. Both these universities are on par. Both their parent programs, the core computer sciences, are very, very strong. If you really had to put a gun to my head and make me pick between the two, then maybe I would just pick Northwestern, um, because marginally, not marginally, just personal preference in terms of the university for engineering. Maybe marginally Northwestern, but all in terms of location, in terms of reputation, in terms of their parent CS programs, all very, very strong. All right, I have a GPA of 8.4, computer science from MU. Is that Mahindra? Okay. What university should I target for fall 2025? I'm working at a bank starting August. I don't know what program you're applying to. So if you can help me with that, I think I can give you a far more accurate answer. Do universities consider CGPA or percentage of both are mentioned on the college transcript? Nobody can say that for sure, in the admissions committee's mind, but usually from what I know, they just look at a 10-point scale GPA, which is the most common across universities at this point in time. If you want to highlight one over the other, highlight that in the resume essentially. All right, I've lost the questions, guys, a little bit. Let me just let me just start. Okay. I want to do a career in the automobile industry. Should I do MS in auto engineering in Germany or the US? In the US, automobile companies, the major American ones, which is General Motors, Ford, they don't sponsor H-1B visas. So there's a large chunk of companies there within the field that don't hire, don't do automotive engineering in the US. The job opportunities are very limited, in fact, pretty non-existent. Germany is a much better bet, provided you learn the language. What are your thoughts on CSUF? I'm assuming that CSU Fresno, MS in CS. I have received a non-resident tuition fee waiver as well, up $12,000 because it's CS. Because it's, is it Fresno or Fullerton? One of them. So honestly, for both of them, if it's a CS, and you're getting the $12,000 tuition fee waiver, it's a pretty safe bet in terms of return on investment. I wouldn't worry too much in terms of that. But do you have a shot of getting into a better university? I can't judge without knowing the rest of your profile. But if you have to go for it, I think it's a pretty safe bet in terms of job opportunities, especially considering the area and the fact that it's a CS degree. You should be absolutely fine. All right, GPA 9.2, GRE 323, 6-month internship, full time experience in cloud, 2 conference papers, good extracurriculars, MSCS, MS, MCDS. All right, that's I'm assuming that's MSDS at CMU and MSCS at UIUC within reach. Possible. We've had very similar profiles get into both programs just this year. So unless something drastically changes next year, I don't see a reason why not. Certainly worth a shot. Certainly a possibility. 2024 grad, 8.84 GPA, 4 projects, 2 papers, started working in key accounts manager. Really confused whether to target 2025 with 1 year work ex or joining in 2026 with 2 years of work ex. So I'll be honest with you. 1 year of work ex doesn't make a difference for MEM, right? You'll still be considered a fresher. So that 1 year is essentially a waste, right? If you have 2 years at the time of joining, then it's a little bit of an advantage because you're not considered a fresher. You'll be hired as an experienced candidate overall, and your starting salaries will be marginally better. So unless there's a little bit of a hurry, I would wait, right? And apply with 2 years of work experience, considering you already have 1 year, under your belt. And this is the kind of advice you'll get from us, guys. Like for me, it would be very easy to say, because see, in terms of you getting in with your profile, we can get you into a top 5, right? So I can very fearlessly say that no, apply now, you'll get into a top 5. Don't waste your time, go now. It's the best thing you can do, and that will happen. You will get in, and then you will do very well after you graduate also, right? But I know that having 2 years of work experience under your belt, because when I was there and I've seen so many students who've gone through us, who are mentors with us, who have secured jobs or doing in their career, they said that additional year helped out, right? So I'm not going to come and sell you saying that take our package and go now. That's not the style that we do here, and that's the kind of advice you'll get on our free consultation calls as well. So you ask me definitively what is better. I think wait for a year and go in fall 2026 with 2 years of work experience. That will be marginally better for you, right? Not that anything bad will happen if you go now, but definitely going with 2 years under your belt would add value for the 1 year you'll be spending now, which otherwise would be a waste, right? So if you want more of that such personalized advice, that free consultation call exists specifically for this reason. Of course, we'll be pitching our services and we'll be talking about it. We're a business at the end of the day, and you'll find those services very compelling as well. But the primary objective of that call is to give you advice and unbiased advice. All of the sales guys at Gradvine are instructed to give correct advice which makes sense for the student, and tell a student straight whether their plans are bad and whether they should not go for a program in the first place. And that's how objective the advice is, and that's why we built that trust, right? So you can get that, unlike other consultancies which will only try and sell you a university, like Avila University or something of that sort that I heard. We are not in the business to do that. So for you, wait, get a little bit of work experience. Or all of you who want that genuine advice, that free consultation call with us is your best bet. So certainly schedule that. And I've lost the questions again. All right, there's so many coming through, guys. Sorry if I'm not able to answer a few of them. You can get them answered in a personalized manner. They're just flying through at this point, and there are too many. All right, just give me a moment when I can scroll back. All right, how is ASU MSDS given its acceptance rate is super high? Will I be amongst the best peers? No, the peer group at ASU UT is not great. I'll be very honest with you, right? But the universities are good enough, the locations are great, the curriculum is good. There's a tradition of hiring for foreign candidates from these universities. So in terms of ROI and jobs, you'll be absolutely fine, right? So if you're looking at the peer group, it may not be the best, but in terms of practical career outcomes for you, it's great. How is USC for MEM in spring? USC is a very good program with a couple of caveats, right? And caveats mean issues essentially, right? First is that the curriculum is more oriented towards operations management, supply chain management, and more for mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, those kind of guys, right? It's because USC had a very strong industrial engineering program, and the MEM is sort of a spin-off from that, so that ethos of the program is still there. Second thing is it's very expensive. It's a private university in LA. It takes 2 years for you to complete, so the cost goes up. So in terms of ROI, it's still good. It's a great university, very well reputed in a great location. But if you're okay with these two factors, you can absolutely go for it. It's a very good program. All right, can you please talk about universities which provide co-ops for MS in AI or data science? What is the eligibility for Northeastern? See, a co-op is not program dependent. Co-op is university dependent, right? So the universities that are decent and that that offer co-ops are, Purdue offers a co-op, but that's again not across all programs. Northeastern offers a co-op. University of Cincinnati offers a co-op. University of Illinois Chicago offers a co-op, right? So again, understand that co-ops are very, very rare. It's not like a very common thing across the board where a lot of universities offer it. So you're going to have some rare options that offer it across the board, such as Northeastern, UIC, University of Cincinnati, which are fairly strong in terms of the co-op. What is the eligibility for Northeastern University? See, for MS in computer science, MS in data science, Northeastern is fairly competitive. Typically, you would certainly need a GPA of above an 8, and freshers get in as well. But if you have 1 or 2 years of corporate work experience, that adds to your advantage overall. What are your thoughts on the UT Arlington MS in Information Systems program? If you want a safe-ish university, that is a decent one. That's probably the last tier of university I would go to in the US. Below that, I wouldn't go because the job search will be a little bit of a struggle. But honestly, there are better ones, right? Like for example, no matter where your profile is, something like a sunny Buffalo, the likelihood of getting in for MIS is the same as UT Arlington, right? And it's a much better program overall. So I would choose better safe universities, right? I don't think it's great, but it's not terrible either. All right. For mid-career to late career profiles, 5 to 10 years of work experience, do you have some good options for MIS, MEM, MOT degrees? I couldn't find more universities that suit this profile category. So understand this: MEM programs, MIS programs, MOT and MEM is same, right? So management of technology, MEM is same. I'm going to consider them the same. MIS, of course, different. They don't have any cap on the amount of work experience, right? So I've had people with 7, 8 years of work experience get into Dartmouth, Columbia, Purdue, Northeastern, all of these places. So you are eligible for a lot of them. So from an eligibility point of view, no problem. Which programs are better in terms of having candidates with higher work experience in the peer group, so that you are also satisfied with the quad experience? The Northwestern's one, which has quite a few people with 3 years plus work experience. Traditionally, I've seen, in terms of work experience, Tufts is another which has people with a lot of work experience overall. With MIS, Berkeley, in fact, prefers people with 4 or 5 years of work experience. UT Austin is also the same, right? So there are quite a few. Again, eligibility wise, you won't have a problem. They are open to people of all levels of work experience. All right, something has to be sorted with this scroll. All right. Fresher versus experienced for admissions for MSCS and OPT. See, OPT has nothing to do with your level of work experience, right? So you get the 3 year OPT STEM extension OPT in any case, irrespective of that. So that has nothing to do with anything. Fresher versus experience for MS and CSC, it varies, right? Because it's a technical course like an MS and CS. Even if you are a fresher in terms of job opportunities, you will not have a problem. If your GPA is good, if your research papers are strong, if you have good enough internships, then apply straight away and kickstart your career in the US. You'll be absolutely fine. Of course, if you are doing an MS and CS with about 2 years of work experience, it will be an advantage for you. If your profile is weak, if your GPA is a little lower, you don't have very good projects and internships, then 2 years of experience will certainly help out. Some universities, in last couple of years, recently through the trend, we've been seeing have been preferring people with a little bit of work ex. Like for example, UPenn is one of them, right? It was never the case, but they've started to prefer people with a little bit of work ex. So there'll be a few odd here and there, but not overall a huge difference. But again, if you do with 2 years of work experience, the starting salary is going to be a little higher, right? So that's an advantage. But in terms of getting in, maybe not as much of a difference. OPT, no difference. All right. How is UNCC and UIUC for MEM? UNC Charlotte, I wouldn't recommend it very highly. UIUC, see, I used to recommend this program quite strongly because of the brand name of UIUC and how well grads did in the past. But at this point in time, I'm hearing from students that it's too short. 1 year for a program, I don't recommend as much. The curriculum is a little too generic. Earlier, UIUC, to counter this, started a data science track, but I don't think it ever took off. This year, there is talk that there will be a product management track, which will help out a little bit. But in any case, I think it's a little too generic and a little too short. So there are slightly better options with very similar acceptance rate, like something like a North Carolina State, in my opinion, is a better bet at this point in time. Likelihood of getting into both if you apply early and strong is around and about the same. All right, GPA 8.5, GRE 315, 4 to 5 projects, no work X. Can you recommend some unis for electrical and computer engineering? Uh, Electrical and computer engineering, you'll have a 1 year gap as a 24 grad. See, your GPA is good. I think roughly, if you have to make an estimate, very difficult to again gauge without the specifics of your project and your undergraduate institution. but you could target some of your top 20 schools pretty much. I think your ambitious ones would be at the top of your list, like a Purdue and a Texas A&M, but I would balance it out with something along the lines of maybe a Northeastern for a safer sort of place, and considering the location, something in Virginia, right? Like if you want a completely safe university, that's good. You can look at George Mason, a very underrated, great in terms of job opportunities. Maybe look at the University of Maryland as well, because that tri-state area is pretty good for telecom, ECE kind of jobs. How is the University of North Texas for MEM? Very bad. I wouldn't do it. True, face the same issue. I got rejected from NEU DS even after having a decent profile. Yeah, Northeastern CS DS is a slightly different ball game. And DS, like I said, if you're an engineer, it's a risk applying to pure DS programs. Apply to DS. I will not discourage it. Maybe you like the research heavy, math heavy nature of the program, but always balance it out with analytics, data analytics programs as well. Which are safe universities for the MEM program? I don't know. I don't have your profile. Uh, for some people, North Carolina State Johns Hopkins is safe. For others, Northeastern is safe. For others, you'll have to go down to CSU East Bay or UT Arlington also. Even though UT Arlington I don't recommend very highly. For some, if you want to get into manufacturing, UC Boulder is a beautiful program, which is safe, very underrated, lovely location. Boulder is a great location, guys. Right? Colorado is a lovely place to be in terms of jobs, lifestyle, cost of living, everything. The University of Colorado Boulder is good, but if you have a product management interest, then it's no point applying there, right? So get out of this mindset of what is safe in general, what is good in general, what is bad in general. In general, there will be fair metrics, but for you, it has to make sense, no? Make sense, no? There are so many good universities in the US that you're not aware of, right? Like Boulder is one of them. If you want to get into manufacturing, for example, UMass Amherst, brilliant program, easy to get into, right? So you have to be aware of that. There are so many permutations, combinations, ad hoc manner. Because you asked the question, I gave you names. Whether it's good for you, I don't know, without doing a very detailed profile evaluation. Hi, I'm admitted to MS in Northeastern. I wanted to ask that the university has asked for certain vaccination reports before entering the US. However, 3 doses are required for hepatitis. What do I do? Um, I don't know. This is being recorded. Get a certificate, man. Like, I'm sure you have somebody in the hospital that just get it. I've known a lot of people who just got certifications without getting poked. It works. All right, I feel my GPA 7.87 is too low for MS and CS. I feel I won't get any good admits. All they have 3 research papers and done 2 internships and working for 1 year as a backend engineer. 7.87 is not too low. If you have 3 research papers and in EE, what is EE? Okay, I've done 2 internships and now I'm working for 1 year as a backend engineer. See, if the quality of your research papers is strong and if you come from a undergrad in CS, you can still push for a top 50. I think you can still do it. I would recommend you get your profile evaluated on a free consultation call, right? I don't think 7.87 is too low. The other thing is your GPA is your GPA. If you've graduated already, it will be 7.87 only. What are you going to do, right? If you feel like you want to enhance your profile a little bit more, get another additional year of work experience. But at the end of the day, you have to apply, right? If you want to go, so don't get into that thought process. Make the best of what you have, right now. All right, I'm just trying to catch hold of the questions because I don't want to miss any, guys. All right, I'm just picking one. Sorry. Masters in management versus masters in business analytics in USA for a recent computer engineer graduate wanting to get into management consulting. don't do masters in management, guys. We help with those processes also. We charge more, in fact, because they have more essays. But masters in management is a little bit of a jack of all trades, master of none sort of case, right? If you look at average starting salaries from the top MIM programs, right, Northwestern, University of Chicago, Duke MMS, and you compare it to the equivalent business analytics or the MEM programs from the same universities, you will see a great delta in terms of job opportunities. The reason being, MIM is very, very generic, even though they're all STEM designated. The kind of recruitment that happens from these programs is limited, right? In terms of management consulting, also, I'm telling you very seriously, even if you do make it to the final rounds, you will have MBAs sitting in the same program and that from the same university sitting, right? Like for example, in my school, Dartmouth, when I was doing the MEM, I had so many people who made it to the final round of the management consulting at Bay and BCG, kind of places, right? And they had MBAs from Tuck, Duke, Fuqua sitting in that same round, and you always lose out. So it's not like MIM opens up some magical avenues to management consulting. At least in the US, it doesn't happen. In Europe, to a certain extent, it does. If you want better job opportunities and you're okay with the technical heaviness of the curriculum, look at a business analytics. If you don't want that much heavy coding and you still want a management degree, you can look at an MEM, even though it may not take you into management consulting as much, right? I'm sorry I didn't give you too much positive news, but that's the reality on the ground, right? If you still want to apply for the MIM, we'd be happy to help out. We put people into pretty much every top MIM program in Europe and the US as well. All right, NIT Suratkal grad, 8 GPA, 1 year and a unicorn. Not given my GRE, but getting a 315 plus, top 5 MEM program possible. And emphatic, yes, it is possible. It is, I would go as far as to say it is likely as well. So yeah, sure, push for it. All right, again, I'm picking a question, guys. Sorry, it's just all right. Shaili Shah says she has GPA of 8.4 from Mumbai University. What university should I target for fall 2025? You'll be starting working back. All right. You asked this question earlier as well. 8.4, if you're from Mumbai University, if you get a GRE of a 310 plus, push for a top 5. You certainly can get into a top 10. Reliably, we get people into these programs. So if you look at, Duke, we had over 50 people get in last year, like close to 50, not over 50, close to 50, sorry, for the MEM program. And about 30 of them had very, very similar profiles. So you're pretty much, if you look at a bell curve in terms of the distribution of the number of accepted candidates, you're right in the center. So you have a good shot, provided your application is strong. Understand that with MEM, there will be, if you're applying to 8 universities, there'll be 15 essays that you have to write, right? There'll be SOP, there'll be additional application essays, there'll be scholarship essays, there'll be video essays, there'll be technical writing sample. If you do all of these well, then most certainly you can push for a top 5, a top 10, if not a top 5 also. All right, these questions are just getting muddled everywhere. All right, I got into CMU MS Software and Management program at Silicon Valley. My profile is 2 years of a product manager. I'm thinking of not going for MS at CMU and wait for MBA next year. See, if you want to continue in product management, just go to the CMU program. The reason being, if you look for an MBA, right, first of all, even if you have 3 years of work experience, you're in the outer edge of that eligibility criterion, right? So 3 years at the time of application, 4 years at the time of entry is like right at the very minimal level for you to have a good shot. If you get into a decent enough MBA program, it's going to cost you twice as much as the CMU master's program. And if you want to break into product management, the delta and the salaries will be very, very limited. If I were you, I would just go for the CMU software management program, right? Once again, I can tell you and sell you the fact that no, you'll get into MBA, starting salary will be $10,000 higher, apply through us and all of that. But I think practically it makes sense that you go for the software management program at CMU, because it'll give you great product management opportunities in any case, and the delta and the salary is very, very minimal, right? It won't be difficult. How is Pittsburgh in terms of networking opportunities compared to Silicon Valley or NYC? It's pretty good. We have to understand that all East Coast cities, right? Pittsburgh, if you look at Boston, if you look at New York City, even if you look at smaller cities in Connecticut and Massachusetts, networking is very close and very closely situated cities. So there's a lot of cross pollination in terms of job opportunities and the networking ecosystem. So Pittsburgh is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's as good as NYC or Silicon Valley. Honestly, no place is, right. But overall, it's not a bad place to be at all. Anywhere on the East Coast is absolutely fine. Like Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, even New Hampshire, right? Parts of it are fine because very, very close proximity to New York City and the likes. All right. How many sessions of college shortlisting is done with Gradvine? I understand it's iterative, so I want to plan my timeline accordingly. See, minimum we do about 2 calls, right? Bare minimum, right? Some students are very sorted; they're clear. They have a detailed discussion. We do. They've done their research. We have our opinion. It's very efficient. Snap, snap. 2 calls in 2 weeks, and it's done. There are situations where we ourselves, recommend. We've done 10 to 12 calls of shortlisting also because we're evaluating multiple programs, you're evaluating tuition fees, you're not clear about what you want to do in your career, so there's a lot of career counseling involved. I've had students who started off with financial engineering, then come to MEM, then go to MIS, then go to business analytics, then go to CS, and then finally decide and come back to financial engineering again, right? So it was the whole journey. We tell you practically what are the career opportunities after each university in each program, and therefore you make a practical decision. So yeah, it could be done in one conversation, 2 conversations, or 12 conversations. The other thing that I say with university shortlisting is, like, even if you're sure about 7 8 programs that you're applying to and you're debating 1 2, you can always continue with the application materials and get it done for all of your colleges. The remaining 1 or 2 you can decide even 1 2 weeks before you apply, because your material is ready, and go ahead and shoot an application, right? The other thing is, with the college shortlistings, it's iterative. That's why we don't say that, okay, your shortlisting is closed now with your shortlisting mentor. Like, for example, if you, like, we were running this thing that, if you sign up for Gradvine services by the end of June, I believe. I think we're offering that only till June. I don't know if we'll extend that, but right now it's only June. You say that you get the shortlist done with Sreekar, right? It doesn't mean that you speak 2 conversations with me, we are done with the shortlist, and I don't speak with you ever again, right? Again, during the process, you have some other doubts, you want to tweak a college here and there, you have some doubts, your parents have doubts, I hop onto a call again, because I'm your shortlist mentor through the entire process, right? Until the time where you get into 2 or 3 places, which is a very happy situation for all of us. We are celebrating, and then we have to critically evaluate which one to join. So I, help you make that decision as well. So college shortlisting is ongoing. It can take as long as less as it needs. It's not definitive, but again, these processes are rarely definitive, right? So we don't have a fixed number. I've had shortlists that were done in 1 call also, right? Because they're very happy and they're very, very clear, but it might take 10 calls too. So bottom line, give yourself time. I'm telling all of you guys again who are attending this live, who are sitting down, my deadline's in November, my deadline is in December, I've not given the GRE, why should I start? If you're losing out on June and July, and some people lose out on August also, I don't know why, but it is never going to come back. You will not have time to do research, you will not have time for a contingency plan. Like somebody said, on this live, I blasted the GRE or something of that sort. Was it blasted or bombed? Right? I think bombed is a better term, right? If you go bomb the GRE and you want a contingency plan, you've not started anything. All of that June and July, which you could have used to strategize your applications, figure out your universities, and do the other material stuff, is gone. Now you have to juggle all of them and then do the GRE also, and then that is the worst situation to be in, especially considering this is such a massive, massive decision for your career, right? You are going to be spending in the US 50 to 80 lakhs minimum, right? In terms of your education, this is the last degree that you're going to do. How can you do the process in 2 months? Why do you want to do the process in 60 days? your entire life decision is going to be dependent on this, and you want to get started later and give it a lot of time, please don't do it. Start now, use our time, use our expertise. How many other times you want to speak with us, we will speak. Even if you're doing your process on your own, absolutely fine. There's no reason why you can't do the process on your own. But understand this, you do it once in your life, we do it 700 times a year, right? So we know the basic mistakes, pitfalls before you do, and help you avoid them and ensure the best possible outcome. So that's why our services are an investment, right? You might want to save some money and do it now, but why would you want to save money on such a major life decision, right? So take how many ever calls you want with us. We in fact love it if students come and ask us very specific doubts. Yesterday I was on a shortlisting call where I was talking about the different electives in a specific MEM program, right? So okay, what is this elective, what will it teach me, right? And then we were sitting and having a discussion on that, and I loved that 40-minute conversation, right? Nobody does this. They only think, okay, what is the safe university, what is the top 50 university, what is a cheap university, what you're going to study, what are the networking opportunities, what are the career outcomes. Nobody even thinks. They blindly apply and regret later. Use this time for that. All right, that's it. Am I, I'm talking like an old uncle at this point. I think I've been doing this so long that I've gone into that mindset. But trust me, it really helps. All right, I'm going to take a couple more questions and then end this live, guys. I have a 3-month-old waiting at home, so it's Sunday. So excuse me that I have to go back. If I cannot answer, your questions, please schedule a free consultation call where you will get genuine advice like this. If they're not giving you genuine advice and they try and sell you stuff, you message me on LinkedIn, and then I'll make sure that they continue doing that. But very seriously, they will evaluate your profile. They'll give you a lot of good advice, which whether you sign up for a paid service or no will help you out overall, right? Because it will be genuine, well-researched advice looking at your own good. You can take that information, it will generally enhance your application in any case. So schedule that free consultation and get your questions answered. I will take 2 more questions before ending this live session. Thank you for the wonderful turnout. It's been absolutely lovely.